What began as a routine patrol soon spiraled into a discovery that would shake the Sri Lanka Navy to its core. As their vessel cruised along the tranquil coastline, a strange silhouette emerged on the water's surface, subtle, yet unmistakably out of place. Driven by duty and instinct, the crew locked eyes on the strange object. Curiosity quickly turned into urgency as they altered course to investigate. What could this be? A castaway, a secret cargo, or something far more sinister? As they drew closer, tension thickened in the salty air. The crew stood at the edge of the deck, silent, eyes fixed, breath held, bracing for whatever secrets the ocean was about to reveal. This unexpected encounter was about to change everything they thought they knew about their patrol and their control over these waters. The sun beat down on the water, shimmering waves alive with light. A hush fell over the deck as binoculars were raised and eyes squinted into the light. For a few seconds there was only the sound of the wind, the engine's low hum, and the rhythmic slap of water against the hull. Then someone gasped. At first it looked like a mass of driftwood or debris, dark, misshapen, adrift. But as the ship drew nearer, the shape began to shift and breathe. A great gray trunk broke the surface, curling weakly before slipping back beneath the water. A pair of wide, fearful eyes met theirs from just above the waves. The crew shouted in disbelief, unable to comprehend how such a majestic creature had found itself in the middle of the ocean. Realizing the situation's urgency, the sailors understood that time was of the essence. The elephant's strength was waning, and they had to act quickly to save it from drowning. Calling upon their experience and seeking assistance, the Navy crew contacted the Sri Lanka Animal Protection Center, hoping to acquire guidance and support for the daring rescue mission. While the experts made their way to the distressing scene, the sailors contemplated how the elephant had ended up so far from land, separated from its herd. But solving this mystery would have to wait, as their main focus was orchestrating the operation to bring the stranded elephant to safety. When the team from the Animal Protection Center arrived, a wave of compassion and urgency swept over them. The scene before their eyes was unlike anything they had faced. A magnificent elephant, stranded in open water, its massive body gently rising and falling with each wave, eyes weary but still flickering with resilience. A hush fell over the area as the specialists stepped in. The atmosphere shifted, heavy with emotion, charged with purpose. These were seasoned professionals, no strangers to wildlife emergencies, yet even they were visibly moved. Without a word, they locked eyes with the Navy crew, an unspoken understanding passing between them. This was no ordinary mission. What lay ahead would demand precision, calm, and above all, heart. There was no time for hesitation. The experts and the Sri Lanka Navy officers convened quickly, gathering in a tight circle aboard the ship to assess the situation. They exchanged glances, nods, and urgent whispers, their minds racing through possible solutions. The rescue required not just courage but careful strategy. One misstep could put both the animal and the rescuers in peril. Led by the Animal Protection Team's guidance, a select group of elite Navy divers volunteered for the mission. These men and women were no strangers to adversity, trained for underwater rescues and deep-sea operations. But even they knew this. Task was unlike any they had faced before. Their objective was formidable. Approach the massive elephant without frightening it, fasten secure ropes around its body, and guide it back to the safety of the coastline. But as they evaluated the logistics, a daunting truth became apparent. The ship lacked the equipment necessary to lift an animal of such weight and size from the ocean. Even if they secured the elephant, they had no means to haul it aboard without risking injury, to the animal or to themselves. The sheer mass of the creature, coupled with the instability of the vessel in the shifting waves, made the idea not only impractical, but dangerous. The ship itself groaned under the strain of the tide. Adding several tons of elephant weight was simply out of the question. A heavy silence fell over the rescuers, thick with tension and unspoken fears. Frustration flickered in their eyes, mingling with the urgency that throbbed in their veins. They had come so far, poured everything into this mission, and yet the solution still danced just out of reach. Some stood frozen, eyes locked on the struggling elephant as it fought to stay afloat, its massive form rising and falling with the rhythm of the sea. Others paced in tight circles, jaws clenched, fists curled, silent expressions of helplessness in the face of nature's raw force. But giving up? That was never an option. Not here, not now. Driven by instinct, compassion, and an unyielding sense of duty, the rescuers swiftly pivoted to a new plan. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us, thank you very much. They would work with the water, not against it. They would let the ocean become their ally rather than their obstacle. They would use the natural pull of the currents, the elephant's own buoyancy, and their own physical endurance to guide it, inch by inch, toward the distant shoreline. No mechanical power, no grand machinery. Just rope, coordination, determination, and raw human will. And so, with unwavering resolve, they prepared to form a living chain in the sea, a lifeline forged from courage, trust, and the refusal to give up. One by one, the divers slipped into the water, forming a protective semicircle around the elephant. They swam carefully, keeping a respectful distance so as not to startle it. The animal's eyes darted toward them, wide with confusion and fear, but not aggression. It was as if it understood that help had finally arrived. Coordinated by hand signals, low shouts across the water, the divers began their slow, methodical guidance. The rope, strong yet gentle, was secured around the elephant's body, not to pull it forcefully, but to help steer and stabilize its movements. The waves crashed against them, the current pulling at their limbs, but they remained firm in formation. Time seemed to stretch. What began as a tactical maneuver soon evolved into a grueling test of physical and emotional endurance. The ocean was relentless, and fatigue began to take its toll. Yet with every passing moment, the elephant pushed forward, encouraged not only by instinct, but by the unwavering presence of its rescuers. It became clear that this was no longer just a rescue. It was a partnership between human and animal, a shared struggle for survival. The hours passed slowly. The sun moved across the sky, casting changing patterns of light across the surface of the water. Every few meters, the team paused, checking the elephant's breathing, adjusting their formation, whispering quiet words of encouragement, as though the animal could understand. Perhaps in some way it did. At long last, a distant cry went up from one of the officers on the ship. Land was in sight. A faint strip of golden sand shimmered on the horizon, and with it, a renewed burst of energy surged through the team. The rescuers clenched their jaws, tightened their grips, and pressed forward. Each movement became more precise, more deliberate. The elephant, though visibly exhausted, swam with unspoken resolve, drawing strength from the humans who refused to give up on it. And then, almost imperceptibly at first, the ocean floor began to rise beneath them. The moment the elephants' feet brushed the sand below, a collective gasp of relief rose from the water. They had made it to the shallows. Still, the mission wasn't over. With unwavering focus, the team guided the exhausted elephant through the final stretch. Shallow, knee-high water that now felt like an ocean to the weary giant. Its limbs trembled with every step, muscles quivering from the ordeal. Yet it pressed. Doing one powerful leg at a time, it moved forward, until at last its full weight sank into solid ground. As the elephant stepped onto dry land, a wave of emotion swept over the onlookers. Cheers broke out along the shore. Some clapped with joy. Others stood frozen, overcome with awe at the sight before them. The elephant paused, water cascading from its sides, then slowly lifted its trunk high into the air. A deep, thunderous trumpet rang out, echoing across the beach. It was a sound that pierced straight to the soul, a cry of triumph, of resilience, of gratitude. The rescuers, divers, sailors, and wildlife expert Murdy stood still, many with tears in their eyes. What had seemed impossible had been achieved not through force, but through unity. In the vastness of the ocean, they had proved that even the most desperate life can be saved when compassion leads the way. That moment would live forever in their hearts. More than a rescue, it was a reminder of what humanity is capable of when it chooses empathy over indifference and hope over despair. Their joy rang out again, echoing across the water as they watched the elephant reclaim solid ground. It stood tall, a majestic symbol of survival, its strength undiminished by the ordeal it had endured. The mission had pushed them to their physical and emotional limits, but in the end, it had shown them something extraordinary, that when people come together for a just cause, even miracles become possible. Gathering quietly around the elephant, the crew offered their silent respect. A bond had formed, unspoken yet powerful, and it would remain with them, a lasting memory of courage, unity, and the will to protect life at all costs. Each person present knew that this was a moment that would forever be etched in their memories, a story they would recount for generations to come. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the beach, the crew stepped back, allowing the elephant to wander freely. The resilient creature took its time, as if savoring the taste of its newfound freedom. And then, in one powerful movement, the elephant raised its majestic trunk to the heavens, trumpeting its victory to the world. The rescue mission had tested the limits of human endurance and showcased the incredible strength of the human-animal connection. It was a story of compassion, bravery, and unwavering determination that would be shared in countless retellings, inspiring others to believe in the extraordinary power of united hearts and hands. As the elephant stood there, taking in its surroundings, the crew marveled at its resilience. Its eyes conveyed a mixture of exhaustion and gratitude, a silent acknowledgement of the heroes who had saved its life. Minutes turned into hours as the wildlife medical team arrived and surrounded the elephant, ready to provide immediate care and support. The past hours had taken a toll on the creature, and it required delicate attention to ensure its recovery. Embracing both relief and a renewed sense of hope, the crew of the Sri Lanka Navy began the next phase of their mission, preparing to transport the rescued elephant to a rehabilitation center. It was a bittersweet moment. In the midst of triumph, quiet sadness lingered. Over the course of the rescue, a profound bond had formed between the crew and the majestic creature they had fought so hard to save. With the utmost care and the steady hands of the medical team, the elephant was gently guided onto a specially designed transport vehicle. As it bid farewell to the shore that had nearly claimed its life, it did so with a newfound appreciation for the kindness and determination of humans. The journey to the rehabilitation center was filled with a mix of anticipation and gratitude. Along the way, the crew members reflected on the extraordinary series of events that had led them here. They had rescued an elephant from the clutches of the unforgiving ocean, defying the odds and showcasing the resilience of life in the face of adversity. At the rehabilitation center, the elephant would receive the necessary care and support to recover fully. It would be a new chapter in its life, one filled with healing, and a chance for it to be reintegrated into its natural habitat. As the transport vehicle rolled to a gentle stop, the medical team was already in position. Vets and caretakers moved with quiet precision, their faces marked by both concern and awe. The doors opened and the elephant slowly stepped down, its movements cautious, every limb heavy with fatigue. One of the veterinarians extended a hand, palm open and low, a universal gesture of peace. The elephant paused, its eyes locking with his, as if weighing the intent behind the approach. Then, with a deep, slow breath, it moved forward. The connection was unmistakable. A sense of trust, fragile but real, began to form. At that moment, an older man emerged from a shaded area near the facility's main building, a retired ranger who had dedicated his life to the wildlife of Sri Lanka. His eyes fixed on the elephant and he froze mid-step. "My God," he whispered, "that scar above the front leg." He hurried closer, blinking back tears. "I know this elephant. He was part of a herd near my village, up in the floodplain. We lost several. During the last monsoon season, we thought he was gone." A hush fell over the team. The weight of the journey suddenly deepened. This wasn't just any elephant. It was a survivor with a name, a past, a home. The ranger gently reached out, speaking, softly in his native tongue. The elephant shifted, its ears lifting slightly, as if recognizing the familiar voice. The crew of the Sri Lanka Navy stood nearby, watching in reverent silence. They had grown close to this creature, not just as rescuers, but as companions in a shared journey of survival. A young sailor, the first who had spotted the elephant at sea, stepped forward. He gently touched its side, his hand resting on the coarse, damp skin. The elephant turned slightly, its trunk brushing the air beside him. A silent farewell. In those quiet moments, time seemed to pause. The team of caretakers began to tend to the elephant's needs, administering fluids and checking vital signs, while soft words were exchanged, calming both animal and human alike. A blanket was placed gently over its back to protect it from the evening chill. A trough of fresh water was brought closer, and the elephant drank slowly, savoring each sip. The setting sun painted the sky with warm hues of amber and violet, casting long shadows across the ground. For the first time since the ordeal had begun, a sense of calm settled over the group. They had done all they could. Now the healing would begin. The crew members lingered for a while longer, reluctant to leave. Each one felt the weight of farewell, not out of sorrow, but of something deeper, the quiet end of a bond forged under extraordinary circumstances. Before departing, they gathered once more beside the enclosure. The elephant, now lying peacefully under the watchful eyes of the medical team, lifted its head ever so slightly and looked toward them. No sound, no movement, just a gaze, steady, grateful, and unforgettable. The crew of the Sri Lanka Navy left, the rehabilitation center with their heads held high. They had been part of a remarkable rescue that had touched the lives of all involved. Their story would serve as a testament to the power of compassion, teamwork, and unwavering determination in the face of immense challenges. Would you have helped the elephant too? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Remember, when you don't give up, even the impossible becomes possible. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Have a wonderful day.